Hello, and welcome to Tiffany Teach Tuesday. Today I'm going to discuss the steps that are needed to employ people and compensate your workers. As your business, as when you begin a business, some businesses require you to have help. Some businesses, you're just the sole owner of the business and you don't have to worry about employee and employee expenses. However, as a business owner, you are an employee of your own business. And to ensure that you minimize your tax liability, you may want to pay yourself weekly, monthly, annually, or whatever the case may be. However, if you decide to pay other people to come work for you, you need to know some of the policies and guidelines and laws to keep those people employed with you safe and compensated accordingly. So in Illinois, we have, well, across the nation, there's minimum wage. In Illinois, the minimum wage effective January 1st, 2021 is $11. However, in Chicago, it's will be beginning January 1st, 2021. No, 2020, January 1st, 2020, it is $14. And it's $13.50 if you have less than 4 employees. And it's $11 for 4 more employees, domestic employees. If you even have domestic workers of just one, you still have to pay the $11 in Illinois. So, and it's 60% of the pay for tip employees like waitresses, bartenders. They have to get 60% of the minimum wage as they base pay. And if their tips for the day does not equate up to the minimum wage law, then you have to give them the difference of what it makes up for their hourly rate. So that's employment. So go into your different local municipalities and find out what the minimum wage is so you won't get dinged for not paying the appropriate minimum wage. Then if you have employees, you have to have workman's compensation. In 1923, there was a Workmen's Compensation Act, and it was put in place for industrial workers. So if they get hurt, they get maimed, dismembered, they die, their families will be compensated for, and the person that may be injured will have compensations for loss of wages during the time that they're not able to work due to an injury that happened at work or death. And then in 1962, they changed that law, just not for industrial people, but for all employees that you hire. You have to have workman comp insurance. And it's very important that you get that, because if somebody gets hurt in your workplace, you have to compensate them. And having the insurance to compensate them if they're lost, though it doesn't come out of your business income, is important. Getting workman's comp insurance, like having car insurance. You don't know how important it is until you enter an accident. That part right there. So that is the thing that you need to do. Now, you only have to have it for employees. How do you classify a person as an employee versus a contractor? A contractor is a person that you would 1099. Now, a lot of business owners 1099 people that they shouldn't. And you can actually get in trouble with the IRS. And they will make you pay back those make you pay the taxes and the employment insurance and Medicare insurance for the employees who you do not withhold those funds for because you classify them as a 1099. And a lot of people do that to reduce their employment expenses. So let me explain to you how this works. As an employer who employs someone, you pay their salary, which is, we're going to say $100. And they have to pay, we're going to say 10% in taxes. So that's $10. You take out $10 of the $100 and it leaves them with $90. However, you also have to pay for Social Security and Medicare. Those are the wages that you pay for if the employee loses their job, and you have to pay the unemployment insurance. I can't remember the rates. I think it's like 1.7 for unemployed, 2 point something for Social Security. It's something that we pay. Now, so we're just going to use a simple number. If you pay, we're going to say $10 for their federal taxes, then you have to pay another $2 for Social Security and another $1 for Medicaid, unemployment insurance, Medicare. Now, watch this. That's a total of $3. So you're going to take out of the person's $100, $13, which leaves them with $87. Now, you as the employer, you have to match the $3 that you took out. You have to match the $2 for the Social Security benefits and then the $1 for the Medicare benefits. So you're not paying your employee $100. You're actually paying them $103 because you have to pay your portion and it doesn't come out of their monies that you're paying them. So your employment expenses exceeding $100 is really $103. Now, if you do health insurance, you say, hey, my health insurance coverage for we're going to just say a single person per pay period is $25. I'm going to pay of that. I'll split it half with my employee. So I'm going to say $12.50 they pay and $12.50 I pay. Now your employment expense has increased to, instead of $103, now it's $105.50 because $12.50 of that goes towards employment health insurance. Now you say, I'm going to give them a match for their 401k, for the employment retirement fund, whatever your fund is. So they're going to pay, say they pay $10. On that $10, you have to pay, because you're doing 2% of that, $2. Well, 10%, 2% of is actually 20 cents. So we're going to round up, say $5.50. So now your employment expense is now instead of being $105.50, now it's $106 because 80 cents of it went to your employment match. So when people say their salary, people say, my salary not that high, I only bring $80,000, $100,000 home, just use that number, round number, home, I don't make that much. They said I make $120,000. Well, you do. They do pay you $120,000 because they have to have your employment Medicare that they match. They have to have your employment Social Security that they match. They have a match for their employment retirement plan. They have to pay that out. Your health insurance, all that comprises of your employee expense. So if you want better employees, you give them those type of benefits. Now, what distinguish between an employee versus a contractor, which will be 1099, a 1099 contractor doesn't set their own hours. I mean, they set their own hours. They provide a service and they determine when they're going to do it, provide the service, when they can and cannot provide the service around the parameters that you give them that is available with your time constraints for them to provide those services. You don't tell them what to do. You don't set their schedule. They're independent. Independent means I do things the way I want to do it. They basically run their own business. Their time is kind of restricted because if your window of what you need them to have done is between 9 and 5 within this week, they have to do it within that time. But you can't say, hey, you have to be here every day at 9 o'clock and you cannot leave before 5. They set their own hours, their own schedule. Whereas with an employee, You say, this is your time you start, this is time we finish, this is time you have lunch, this time, these are the opportunities for when you want to take vacation, that we have that window open for you. So those are the things that you consider when having employee versus a contractor. Now, with a 1099 contractor, anybody that you pay that is a contractor more than $600 a calendar year, you have to 1099, which means you have to report to the IRS that you gave them over $600. And then by January 31st, you need to give them a 1099 form saying that you've told the IRS that you're going to give them, you gave them this amount of money in the previous year. Okay. So that is very important. Now, my final closing: to be great in anything you do, even when you're already good at it, is to be able to take your skill set and grow it. You're never too experienced. You never know everything. You never, what is the word I'm looking for? Have all the answers, and you should always be a forever learner as a business owner. That's what makes you stand out from the rest. Everybody has great skill sets. Everybody is good. But what makes you stand out from the rest? Improving and continuing educating yourself, scaling yourself out of the norm and doing something different than everyone else does in the business. That's what makes you stand apart, what makes you get the rate that you want to charge. Being on time. If you say you open up at 9 o'clock, be there at 8:50 to open your doors. If you say you close at 5 o'clock, do not close at 4:45 because you're tired for the day. You close at 5 o'clock. Make yourself a schedule and stick to it. Learn, take continuing education courses. I take so much continuing education. It is ridiculous. Sometimes I be so stressed out, like, why? But I learn what I need to know to be effectively great at what I do for my clients. They call me because I know things that they wouldn't know as a person that's just a consumer. So I get that knowledge, and they pay me for my intellectual knowledge. Things that I know. I had a client to call yesterday, and they were like, oh, she said she ran a boarding. She rented out rooms because it'd be easier to deal with people renting out rooms than it would be if she just rented out the entire apartment. I said, well, no, it isn't. Because now you have, say for instance, you rent out 5 different rooms and one person doesn't pay. You're still paying the same cost to evict someone that you would have had you rented out the entire apartment and made all that one person, that entire apartment, responsible for the one rent, versus you having to deal with 5 different people. That's actually a bigger headache to rent out rooms than it is to just rent out the apartment to one single family. Because anyone that receives mail at your address is automatically a tenant. That's why if the name is not on the mailbox, the landlord will not deliver the mail there. So she learned something yesterday that she didn't know. But I know that because I ensure that I stay abreast and knowledgeable of what takes place in the industry that I work in to be effective for my clients. Because there's no need for them to pay me to do something or that they already know themselves or they have working knowledge of. I should be the proficient one in that industry. I am not an expert, because guess what? There are some things I don't know in certain areas of the industry, but I link myself and build relationships. Networking is very important in this business. So I've built relationships with people in the industry that can give me the information that I need, but I also am willing to pay for that information. That's another thing that people fail to do. People want free services. People want free information. Our knowledge and our skill set is not for free. You're in the business to make money. Like I had someone to get one of my tenants to think that I was being funny acting because he asked me a question about should he or should he not purchase a property. And as I stated to him, if I was to answer that question, I would need all additional information that you haven't shared with me. But the person that you're paying to represent you as the broker, buyer broker, should be able to answer the question, because there's a lot of factors into what you need to have answered. I just can't give you a yes or no answer. And he was like, you can just tell me yes or no. No, I can't. And I don't work for you, so I don't have to. And if you want me to consult you, then you have to pay me a consulting fee. Now, before I used to give out that information for free, but because my time is limited, I can't give out free information because that means I take away my time that I can be giving to clients who pay me. So what I started, that's why I began to do Tiffany Teach Tuesday, so that I can give information to people and they can go through one of these videos to find out information about something in general that I would have typically taken my time out to explain to them. My time is valuable, and every business owner time is valuable. And we go and we learn, we take classes, we interact, network with people to learn different things, go to workshops, seminars, and different opportunities to learn, to be able to be effective and great at what we do, to be proficient in that. But you as a consumer need to pay people for what you want. I tell my clients all the time, you get what you pay for. If you put nothing into it, you get nothing back out. So thank you again, as usual, for tuning in to Tiffany Teach Tuesday. And next week, Tuesday, I'll see you, and hopefully I will have my guest speaker in line. They'll be available next week, Tuesday, to discuss with us of just owning a business as a woman in real estate. Thanks again, always, for tuning in, and I'll see you next week, Tuesday.